when we last left our intrepid chicken. Okay, this video I promised that we would start doing some stuff to make things move around and things. We'll have a little fun with that. And the first thing I'm going to tackle here is getting this level to spin around, because that's pretty much the easiest. So we're going to right click on it. We have this option that says create. Nope, I'm dumb. My bad. Add script. New script. We'll name it rotate barrier. There. And then we'll just edit script. And Unity kind of gives us some stuff to start out with. This tells us right at the top here the namespaces we're going to be using, which is basically programs and methods and commands to get stuff done. I forgot to turn off my Facebook. I apologize. So, first thing we're going to need is we're going to need to define some variables. Like, well, basically, really only one. And that is a rotation speed. And we are going to use what is called a float. A float represents just a number. We'll make it public, and that makes it so you can see it in the inspector and mess around with it. But a float is any number. It can be 1.3, it can be 1, it can be -1, it can be 0. The other type of number that you're going to see the most often is an int. That's an integer, it's a whole number. That's only -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't do point, this, that, and the other thing. So, but since we're dealing with degrees, rotations, we never know where it's going to end up. So we use a float. Now, if you remember back in the inspector, over here, we had this thing called the transform. And there's a rotation in there. So, that's what we want to play with, is the transform. And luckily for us, Unity just caches the transform for us so that we don't have to look it up in the scene. So we go to transform, which means that the transform that's on this object. And we want rotate with a capital R. And the nice thing about Microsoft Visual Studio is it gives us this whole list of things that we can do when we push that little dot button there, period, rotate. And it asks us for a vector 3, which is 3 numbers representing space, basically. In this case, it's rotation. So we want 0, 0. And then since we're turning it on the z-axis, rotation speed. Now the problem with this, you would think that this would be perfect, is that because we're just using straight rotation speed, and it will work. We come back here, the program, and Unity's going to say, okay. We say 100, just for a number to use. And we hit play. And lo and behold, wow, that spins fast. And the other thing that happens is that I have the statistics open on my screen here. You can do that right here. When you do it just straight transform.rotate, your speed is going to be tied to this frames per second, how many operations your computer is doing. In my case, it's doing 68-ish. And we want to make that independent, because you never know a frame rate, because you never know what the machine the player's using. They might be playing on a potato, so who knows. And the way that we do that is this lovely math function called time.delta time. What that'll do is it'll, instead of adjusting this rotation speed by frames per second, it does it through time. And that way, and time is universal for everybody. So rotation speed times time, and then what we want is delta time. We'll save that. And the first thing you'll notice is that our thing is going to slow that way down. Because now, instead of moving it through those, now it's a nice, our frame rate isn't jumping around all over the place because it's trying to do it every single frame, doing it over time. That's perfect. That's what we want. All right. That's done. So let's click apply so that it gets applied to all these things here. Then we'll put this same rotate barrier script right on here. I'll make that 100. And we'll do the same thing here. There. Now we have a couple of rotating levels. And it seems then in the next video, we'll start working on making the chicken rotate. Well, actually, I'll just do it right here. It's pretty much the same thing. So we'll add a component, new script, rotate chicken. And the reason I'm doing a whole nother script is because we're going to eventually want to do some other things like launch the egg out of it. So edit script. And all I'm going to do is copy this. I suppose I should explain these little why I'm sticking things where they are. Paste. Unity sets us up with these functions already built in on every script. Up here is right before the start or awake or any other function. That's what these are, functions or methods, I guess. We want to define all our variables before we do anything else. And then the start function, this happens when the object is instantiated or created in the scene. It only happens once. And then this function right here is the update. That is what happens every single frame. So every single frame, we're telling it to rotate by a number of degrees based on this rotation speed. So just so you guys know how that works. Perfect. Control S to save. Then we will go back to our chicken. And because we want it to rotate the other direction, we'll give it a speed of -100. And now when we hit play, they rotate in opposite directions. Perfect. And now we're going to stop this video here. I'm going to find out who the heck is texting me on Facebook, and we'll go from there. Have yourself a good one.